Do you ever find yourself overthinking something or overcomplicating something to the point where you just don't do it? This episode is for you. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, I am helping you with one of the things that I feel like I work through a lot, and it's the idea of overthinking. So I want to share my steps that help me and steps that I know as a teacher of over 20 years that help my students. And this is actually the real true reason why our motto, one of our phrases that we use all the time, get the F there, has come into our lives. And it's because I just remember teaching this one time and we were going down to the floor, and it was specific in the way that I was doing it, obviously. And I had newbies in the room, and I just remember them being like, oh, well, like I know I need to get down there in some way. She's doing it this beautiful way, and I want to do it exactly like that. And at one point I was just like, it was kind of like the enough moment where you're just kind of like, no, like no more. We're not going to do that. We are not going to overthink ourselves to the point where we can't do it, where we make ourselves not able to do that thing. There's so much thought behind some of the movements that happen, and sometimes just throw your body in. Why don't we do that? I can tell you why. It's because we don't want to look stupid. That's the biggest fear that my students have when they come through the doors. And it's, I don't want to look stupid. I want to be able to do it, but I'm not sure I can do it. And you can do it as soon as you start doing it, right? So it was just this moment when I was teaching, and I could see the frustration in my students' faces. I could see it in their body language. And I was like, all right, like anticipating their questions. I'm like, you know what? Just get the F there, okay? We're going down to the floor, figure out how you're going to do it. And I realized how effective that was for my students. I realized, whoa, that just is a game changer right there, because now that's what we can say. And then someone can register that so quickly, because you can think about that phrase in terms of real life all the time. Like, oh, get the F there. Like I just gotta get there, right? Like that's people say that phrase all the time. It's the same. And what I want is for the accessibility to be there for you. If you know it's accessible, not only will you do it, you will be consistent with it. And I'm really experiencing something like that right now with my consistency at the gym. So I made this little agreement to myself that I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to go 17 times before the 25th, which is when we go off to Italy. And my goal with that is to not overthink it, because I got into this moment where I had my knee surgery, and then I had my PT for the other knee, and I was really taking care of my body, and I was thinking it through so much that it was crippling to me in a way. It was like, well, I don't know if I'm doing the right exercises, and I don't know if it's going to be the right thing for this knee, and if I do this knee thing and then it hurts this knee, which is the whole reason why this knee ended up hurting. Anyway, that's a whole long story. I don't want to get into it, but it's crazy, the overthought process, where I think I'm thinking things through thoroughly, like being like, wow, you're such a great thinker. You're thinking things through, when really I'm stumping myself. I'm trying to make it so exact that it's not it at all. There is nothing to be exact with, because I'm not doing anything. I stopped PT because I graduated, and my transition back into the gym world is interesting for me because it's going to be different than my PT, obviously, and it's going to be different than what I was doing at the gym prior to all the surgery. And I get to create what that looks like. And instead of doing it and going in and figuring it out, I was thinking about it, not in it. I was thinking about it the same way you do when you're coming to the studio. You think about what it would be like. You think about what it will feel like, what you'll do, how you'll look, what you'll wear. Instead of just coming, doing a class, getting the F there, and experiencing it, and then making your alterations. Because for me, what I'm doing is like, okay, well, I went and I did leg day the other day, and I was like, whoa, that really, really hurt. I had to change my whole idea of what I was going to do that day. It was just extremely painful, and I don't know. I wasn't able to figure it out. And I was like, okay, well, let me change things around and I'll do something different. And my next leg day is coming up, so we'll see what happens. And I made the alterations as I went. I made modifications, just as you will do when you're on the dance floor, especially when you're with me on the dance floor, because I just love encouraging modifications, especially as we age. especially as we want to keep the idea of dancing for longevity. So in case you want another way where overthinking really gets in the way, have you ever packed for a trip and you've thought all about the weather and all about the events that you're going to do and you haven't packed yet because you're just thinking things through so much? Sometimes you just got to throw things in and know that if you need it and you don't have it, you'll figure out how to get it. And my friend and I, we actually love that theory when we travel together. And when we travel separately, we'd be on the phone chatting and then kind of not, I don't know why, I was just going to say hyperventilating, overpacking, but that's not what happened. We would get okay, we're going to have this. And you want to make sure, my type A personality wanted to make sure that I would have everything I needed. And then my type B personality is figure it out. And we would always go back to that one line of if we need it, we'll figure out where to buy it. And sometimes you can't really plan for that. Has anyone ever broken their flip-flops on a trip? I have. And sometimes Josh has super glue in his bag. It's kind of a funny thing where we super glued my shoe one time and it just was kind of crazy that worked out. But we needed to get flip-flops and he needed, I don't know. Anyway, so the long story about this is there's a bunch of different things. And this is why I love dance so much, because everything on the dance floor is a micro lesson in real life. So the way that we overthink on the dance floor, the way that we question ourselves before we even get in the dance floor is telling us and teaching us qualities of ourselves that we do in the external world outside of the dance floor. So if you're an overthinker or you prevent yourself from going to dance because you're thinking things through, the way I think things through, then you're preventing yourself from being the doer because you're now the thinker. And the best way to get better at dance is to dance. That's the best way that you can get better at dance. Dancing, taking dance classes, not thinking about dance, definitely not watching dance. You get better at dance by dancing. It's never about your lack of ability, because that's what you're going to say it is. I know. I already know your excuses. You're okay, well, actually, blank, blank, blank. You have a really well-written thesis paper on your excuse. It's awesome. Good job. And also, it's not true. Also, I've got a rebuttal for you. It's not about your ability. It's about your overthinkingness. It's about every excuse that you make. And if we know about excuses, we know they're backed by fear. Fear is always the one that's going to tell you are you sure about that? I think you should keep watching dance instead of dancing. It's so tricky to combat fear. I found this thing today. I was just browsing while I was foam rolling. And I'm going to read it to you because I actually posted it on my story because I liked it so much. It goes like this. And this is funny too because it's just the way that the nature is going with AI and stuff. This is completely an AI done thing, but I still like it a lot. And that's the value of the world that we live in now. This is from Psychology Post. ChatGPT was asked what the most brutal truths in psychology were. And these were the answers. So there's slides. And if you're curious about this, I'll send it to you. The first one was your brain lies to you constantly. You are not a passive observer of reality. You are a narrator. Your brain invents stories that feel true, but are often built on cognitive biases, emotional residue, and past wounds. When you think about that in terms of the dance floor, your brain is always lying to you. It's making something harder than it is. Just like my brain was lying to me, and it was saying, you're not going to do the right exercise. You're going to hurt another part of your body if you go hard at the gym. If I spent some more time really reflecting on that, I'm not sure those would be the exact words, but for the sake of time and getting my point across right now, maybe that's what I was saying. And maybe that's why I put such a stop to myself about doing, because it was so hard to figure out a different way, a different route, a modification. The next one, what you avoid controls you. Avoidance feels like relief in the short term, but every time you dodge discomfort, you strengthen fear, shame, procrastination, or resentment. Who is that ringing true for? Me, you, potentially. Avoidance feels like relief in the short term. Think about it. You're wanting to go to dance, you're wanting to do something. Fill in the blank on what you're doing, right? Avoiding it, not doing it. It's okay, well, I don't have to worry about it because I'm not doing it. You're letting fear win. You're letting your procrastination win. Every time that we do that, we strengthen the muscle of not doing versus strengthening the muscle of doing. The next one. You are not who you think you are. You're who you practice being. I love this one because it goes in tandem with the whole be, do, have episode. If you haven't watched that one, please do. It's amazing. And identity isn't fixed. It's a feedback loop of habits, roles, beliefs, and repeated stories. You shape who you are by what you do over and over, not what you wish were true. So this is why the person who's going to dance class all the time is getting better at dance versus the person who isn't going. The person who is practicing being a dancer is becoming a dancer. The person who's practicing looking at dancers is going to continue to look at dancers. The person at the gym is getting stronger versus the person who is practicing thinking about the exercises that they'll do. They're not getting stronger. I love this one. You will suffer either way, so suffer for something worthwhile. I love this idea because it's like the path not taken. So you want to go to dance, you want to do something. Me, I want to go to the gym and get stronger again. And if I'm doing it, there's a suffering for me, right? Because I'm making it part of my schedule again. I'm questioning what's going to be good for my body. But that's a great suffering. It's like good. It's getting me closer to my goal suffering versus avoiding it suffering. I'm suffering because I'm not giving myself the opportunity to learn. I'm not allowing myself to get better, to work through it because the only way forward is through. So you'll suffer either way. So if you don't come to class, you're not learning. You're not giving yourself the freedom to dance. And if you're learning, you're going to suffer. For sure, you're going to suffer because learning, I'm using this word kind of just for the sake of this. I really don't personally like the word suffer for this. I just don't think it's as relevant of a word. But for the sake of this, the dance learning process is not pleasant. It's hard. It's challenging. It makes you question you. It questions how bad you really want it to, which is awesome. And so this is why it can be so cool to just not overthink something, because if we spend less time thinking and more time doing, the answers will sort themselves out. It's kind of like when I'm teaching a routine and I go through the routine, I'm sure if I stopped at that moment and asked for questions, people would be like, oh, and how does this, and how do you do this? Instead of doing that, I typically tend to just keep rehearsing and reviewing and keep allowing my students to drill and go over things. And then usually when I do stop for questions, they don't have any. They've sorted it all out. They've stopped thinking. They began doing with all the drilling that a lot of questioning got released. They don't have to think about it anymore. There's this girl that I recently came across on Instagram, and she has this very monotoned voice, and she goes, welcome to day whatever of watching me do the thing that I've been procrastinating for, however long she's been procrastinating for. And she'll say today we're doing blank, blank, blank. So I watched a few of them and I think they're so funny. And so what she does is she puts it on the speed up time thing while she's doing it. So you can watch her actually do the task. And at the end, she's like, this thing that I've been procrastinating for 8 weeks or however long she calculates that only took me 23 minutes. Thank you for following along. And it's kind of funny because the hardest part, it seems, watching it for her is the starting process. Getting the task done is not a problem for her. She seems to be getting these tasks done very efficiently. She did her drawers. She sewed some cushions. She's making appointments. She's doing a lot of stuff. She's getting a lot of stuff done because she's doing. She stopped thinking about it. She stopped thinking about how annoying it might be. I remember one of the episodes where she was talking about I really hate going on the phone. I really don't like being on the phone, making an appointment. And she was like, that really wasn't that bad. Again, fear is leading the way and we listen to it. Our mind, what was it? I'm going to go back to it. What you avoid controls you and your brain lies to you. I just think that's so wild. And it's equally wild that we get to control it, that we get to take a little step out, a little zoom out and just be like, oh, how funny I'm letting that control me. One other thing, when we overthink, we are actively thinking. So to the whole entire body, it feels like we're being productive. It feels like we're getting something done. Feels like we're moving forward. This goes back to the episode on momentum when we talked about motivation and momentum and the idea that first you get motivated, then you make momentum happen. And really what we just proved that, and we realized that momentum doing actually is what's building your motivation. It's the same with confidence. And that's one of the things that people come to me for, is helping them build their confidence. And it's actually amazing how short of a time someone's confidence can skyrocket because they start dancing at the studio. Little tiny tasks, little movements of dance, done well, executed with a really polished viewpoint of it. And what I mean by that is, don't be too critical. When you feel a successful moment in dance, that's going to propel your confidence. And that's what I see happen all the time. There's so many opportunities for micro successes that you really get to build your confidence fast. You really get to build your dance skills fast. We want to feel ready, feel confident, feel sexy before we do these things. Those are the very things that make us confident, that make us sexy, that make us a better dancer. So the cure is really to not think over it, to not let yourself get stuck in that feedback loop of what if this and what if that and what if I'm not good enough. Like, you gotta get the F there and get so excited about getting better and get so excited about your dance journey that that's what you're excited about instead of the final product. Do you ever have anyone in your life that makes doing things fun? So my mom is like that. She can make anything fun. And crazily, in college, like when I would have crazy papers to do, she made it fun because while I was doing them, she'd be like, okay, I'm going to call you in 30 minutes, or I'm going to call you in an hour, or when do you want me to call you next? And then I would tell her, like, call me in an hour. And we made this whole little game out of like these big, overwhelming projects that I would do in college and getting them done and being able to finish them with success, like with that accountability. She made it fun. So a lot of times my fun usually comes from like when things are done and finished and polished, and I work hard to live in the moment of the journey, of the building, of the experience, the learning process, whatever that is, and making that the fun. Then you have such a great relationship with doing hard work that you really don't have to question yourself at all. You don't have to overthink yourself at all. You just get to do. So I want to give you a practical takeaway today because I know this isn't new information for you. This is like, oh yeah, that's, you're speaking to things that I'm currently working on. Yeah, me too. So I'm going to give you a do it now task. And I want you to just think of something, like think of anything that you're doing, make your commitment. And the easiest way to figure this out is to ask yourself the question, what is one thing that I've been overcomplicating that I have the ability to do? Remember that the first rep is the hardest one. And it's the most important one because it breaks the spell of overthinking. I think about that in terms of like, actually, so we talked about vacations, but coming back from vacations, it's very similar because you're getting back into the grind. So that first day back is always such a hard day back because you're settling back into your routines. So decide what it is. And then the most important thing is to then do it. You can spend some time after if you want, reflecting on maybe why you were overcomplicating it or why you were overthinking it or how long you procrastinated for and what it felt like. And that might be a really fun activity for after. But instead of thinking, stop thinking and do. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And if it was, I would absolutely love to ask you to share this with a friend, as this is the main way that we can get the podcast to grow. And if you enjoyed this and got some value from it, it would mean the world to me if you left a 5-star written review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.